in Calgary was at the General Hospital, which is where a lot of the laundry was done, and the Foothills. So those two hospitals actually had the laundry facilities for all the Calgary hospitals at that time. So in '93, the laundry workers said, yeah, to save my job, I'll take a 23% wage rollback. Now, at this point, you're talking about the lowest paid of any healthcare worker that there was the laundry workers. And they took it in the chin. They took that cutback. And that's what made it worse for them when in 1995, the employer came to them and told them that they were contracting out their jobs and they would all be laid off. They didn't offer them any severance package. They didn't offer redeployment. And in those days, what redeployment meant is that if you got laid off and there were other jobs open in your facility, then the employer could then, instead of laying you off, move you into another position. But the theory behind that the employer had is that you couldn't move up and get a promotion as a result of that. Well, if you're the lowest paid, you're at the very bottom of the bit, there is no place to redeploy you because anything that you would take would be a promotion. So they weren't allowed to be redeployed, they weren't given severance package, they were just going to be out in the street after 2 weeks. And they expected them to work the full 2 weeks. So they had a meeting with us in the morning. I was their national rep, and Len Fagnan, at that time, was the president of the local. So we were at the meeting with the laundry workers when they were told they were going to be laid off. After that meeting, we asked the employer if we could stay and talk to the members. And it's interesting because this is one of the few times where they actually shut down the operation to talk to the employees. They shut it down completely, had everybody there at the same time. So we started talking to them, and understandably everyone was very distraught. So we ended up going to the employer and saying, we've told these people to go home sick. They're all stressed out. We don't want them working in these machines. It's too dangerous when they're this upset. We've told them to go home. And the employer sort of blustered a little bit, but then sort of understood that, yeah, it was pretty bad news. So what we told the members is, listen, go home for the rest of the day. We're going to get a meeting. We're going to arrange for a meeting hall that night. So at 7:30, we met at Bridgeland Community Association. And we talked to the members about what did they want to do about this. We came up with some suggestions of what they could do. We told them they could file a grievance, but number one, grievances take a long time, and two, there's no guarantee that'll do anything. And then we talked about doing an information picket and at least letting the public know that, this is not, not appropriate, not acceptable. But people said, well, what's that going to do? At the end of the day, it's not going to keep our job, right? And we said, well, probably not. And so they decided that they were actually going to go out and strike, that they were not going to tolerate this, and that they were going on the picket line. And the worst that they had to lose at that point was the last 2 weeks of their employment. They'd already been really kicked in the shins because if they had known this was going to happen, they wouldn't have taken the 23% rollback and been able to go on unemployment insurance at that time at a higher rate than what they were going to end up with. So the workers talked it out and they made the decision. And I think that's the important thing. It was the workers that decided. Mm-hmm. It was not something that was pushed by any big union boss. And I think that's what scared the employer, and I think that's what scared Ralph Klein, is that it wasn't led by the leadership of the union. It was the members.
You were very involved. What do you think the outcome might have been had the nurses come out? I mean, you talked about how it was not a happy settlement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
Well,
know that would have had a big impact
Yeah.
politically, but what do you think would have been what do you visualize could have,
Well,
gone?
I think that we could have gone further on the issue of contracting out and getting that issue, turning that issue around so that there wasn't support for contracting out any work. It could have turned into a general strike, but I don't know. It's I think it could have possibly grown into that, but I think it would have ended up in a whole battle about contracting out in the public sector, which would have changed our history considerably, because if we could have stopped contracting out in the public sector, then maybe they would have stopped contracting out and didn't even think about doing it in the private sector. I mean, it just boggles my mind why a private employer would want to contract out his own work.
Yeah.
But, and they didn't do that at that time, but they do it now.
Right.
And so it's, I think that we could have maybe gained a lot more on the issue.